Figured I'd do a little update video on the Skyline. Had pulled the dash out, do the heater core. That was fun. I didn't pull the dash out, so I didn't know where anything went. Now I'm trying to figure out what throttle cable I need. This is the one that was on the car. Somebody did some engineering. We'll just say that. What else is there to do? I honestly forgot what I filmed last on this Skyline, because it's been some weeks, probably some months since I've filmed last on it. It's been hard to find certain parts. There's been a lot of little problem pieces, I guess you could say, that I could not find, and has not been fun to find, but getting along, you know. Oh, I don't think I said anything about the transmission issue. Got a transmission from a business, I'm not gonna say their name. It was broken, had to get another one, and this one seems good. Brand new from Nissan. You'd think it would be broken, but it was. And got that resolved. What else has been happening since? I had to figure out how I want to do like some things, like this fuel system. Had to order a special regulator adapter, which I didn't know existed, so you can use a factory one. Had to figure out fittings for the other side of the fuel lines. What else? Just little things. I love old Nissans, and I'm really good with old like 240s, S13s, 14s, stuff like that. But Skylines, they're similar in some ways. The chassis are very similar to like S14, like wiring wise and stuff, but I've only messed with like, we'll say, a handful of RBs, and this has been slightly tricky finding stuff for this chassis, for this engine setup, and it'll get easier in time, you know, when you do this more often and more people are working on them and whatnot. But figure I'd just give a little update and maybe film a little bit what's going on. But got the wiring ran down here. It's gonna work. So I just gotta sort through that, figure out some stuff, where to tie in for like my power and ground. I think I might just do a little distribution block off the key cylinder for like your switched on power source. But been a good project. I cannot wait for this thing to run, because it's gonna be quick. Should make more power than the S14, and plus, man, four doors are the best, man, especially when drifting. Just the weight of the car, and when you transition, it's awesome. So we'll see where I go from here. Maybe film just a little bit, kind of just, you know, figure out little issues, go from there. Oh yeah, I do want to show off this little thing. So we're gonna run a power tune digital dash. That was not fun to trim out. Power tune, make a stencil so like you can just, you know, trim out, because it was a very weird shape. I'll show you in a second. But had to do aftermarket fuel gauge, because this display does not have one. And this is actually a S14 LRB. I think it's LRB. Yeah. Gauge cluster that I make work. Wish they'd make one for R33s. I mean, this works. It just looks a little funny. I'll show y'all when I set it back in there. But here, I'll show you the back side, what I had to trace out. Look at this shape I had to cut out. That was very intricate. Like the back of this panel, it's very weird, but made it work. Looks halfway decent, if I say so myself. Like, as you can see, it's not perfect, but I mean, it does the job. It's good enough. It's gonna get a little better. That light is screwing me up. There we go. See, it's got a little tiny gap right there in there, but man, you won't see it. Looks good enough for me. Good enough for a customer. And when I say customer, yeah, I'd love to say this is mine, but it's one of my really old friends slash customers' car. They trust me with it and didn't really give me a time frame. They just wanted it to be about 400-ish horsepower, and it should be a little over that. But it's been a fun project. I'm very happy that they let me do this. And I probably get to rip it at a couple drift events local, or maybe go to Driven Luck or something. But should be a really fun chassis. I am kind of curious if it's going to drive like my G did, because it's about the same weight and size, but we'll see. Gonna be a good car, or should be a good car when we're done. All right, as you can see, we got the Skyline back in the garage. My buddy did really good with the intercore piping. I should have showed y'all, but I was kind of in a rush. Well, not a rush, just I'm trying to get this thing done. But relayed the wiring harness. It seems like it's correct. There's only like 2 connectors I cannot figure out. So they had to fix these 2, they were wrong. And then I gotta figure out what these are. I don't know why there's this other connector on here, but that connects in the alternator. I don't know. I don't know what that is. But this other connector on the main harness, where are you? Right here. This goes to the alternator. So I gotta figure that out. Once again, some weird stuff going on. It's probably something silly like pressure line for the power steering or something dumb, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. Kind of sucks this thing had to sit outside and the manifold got rusty again, but hopefully it'll bake off or I'll spray something on it. But I really like what my buddy Vahan did with this little bracket. It's very clever. He made something, welded this little plate in here. It's used these 2 screws. I'm gonna redo probably those with some nut certs or something if I can. But he mounted the intercooler so high. I'm gonna have to show y'all later on. But literally, there's that hole, you know, in the bumper. It only shows this much of it. And it has so much clearance that it should never really rub on anything, which is gonna be nice. But also, what else there I gotta do? Power steering's up and good. Exhaust is back on. It's gonna have heat, which is great. I have to wire in, I think, a fuel pressure sensor, and I feel like there's something else. I just can't remember off the top of my head. But waiting on a couple little parts I ordered. I had to get a new fuel filter because this little one definitely won't work. I ordered some hoses and some clamps and a bead roller because my buddy doesn't have a bead roller, which probably after I use it on this for the intercore piping, like bead roller, so you get this nice rolled edge on all of this stuff. Which I just realized I only have to do it in 2 spots. Hang on one second. Hang on one second. Alright, see that has that flared edge? Well, 2 of the pipes don't have it. So I bought a piping flare tool. It was cheap on Amazon. Make that a little easier and less chance of coming off. And then I'm going to try and measure all of these clamps. I want to go to these constant velocity. I think that's, what do you call it? It's supposed to be a lot better design. And I think that's about it. Yeah, it's just a little bit of wiring, fuel lines. I gotta figure out what to do with this one coolant line, because that used to go to the throttle body. The one on the other side goes to the turbo. Oh, I gotta find a oil feed line for the turbo. I gotta figure that out. But I think everything else is done. Oh yeah, gotta wire up the fuel gauge and the gauge cluster, and I think that's it. But not a whole lot to do. I'm gonna try and get it done in a couple of days because I want to see this thing running. It's been too long because, man, it's hard to find parts for this car. There's nothing local. A lot of parts had to come from Australia, and that takes a little while. And it was just, we're doing this on a budget, but not really, if that makes sense. We're doing it on a budget to where it should last a long time and not have issues, and do it nice and safe so it will run a long time. And I'm ready to rip this thing. The owner's very nice, and they're gonna let me drive it some while it's still in town. Yeah, I'm ready. There is an event in about a month and a half called Polecat in Lynchburg, Tennessee. I'd love to take it there. It would be a little sketchy in this car because it's not really mine, but yeah, we'll go from there, get this thing running, get it tuned, and yeah, get this thing ready to rip. Should be a fun car. I don't think it's gonna make over like 400, but it'll probably be close to it. It's got plenty of fuel system. The turbo's big enough. Yeah, I'm curious what it's gonna make. It should be pretty rowdy. But let me figure out some of this wiring stuff, and I'll get back with y'all. All right, I know it doesn't look like I got a lot done, but I did. Figure out the routing for the harness. I had to wire in fuel pressure sensor, oil pressure sensor, figure out the right adapters. What else? Had to go get different belt. It was different or wrong. Power steering lines are on now. Had to shorten this hose. What I need to do now is get rid of this hose. So I'll probably either cut this fitting off and scoot this hose down, or maybe weld that little piece up. I don't know yet, but got a decent amount done. All that's really left is, let's see my list. Let's see, I need a S14 throttle body, install the intake manifold, which I'm about to do, and put the injectors, fuel rail. Gotta add, I think, one more ground wire. I don't know, I gotta look. Bleed the clutch, slave cylinder, master, and wire up the CAN bus sensor for the wideband, which that had to order. That should be here in like, I don't know, a week. But I already talked to my tuner, gave him all the information that he needed to know. Should have a startup tune probably sometime this week, something like that. And finally get to hear this thing run. It's been a mild headache because getting parts for this car, you know, in the US is kind of annoying. A lot of the stuff had to come from Australia. A few did come from America, but I don't know. I've just been kind of busy on other projects and other customers' cars, and finally getting time to work on this thing. But I'm ready. I'm ready to drive this thing. It should be a fun car. Shooting for like 400, I think. I don't really know yet. It just, you know, of course, it's all what the tuner can do. But yeah, I'm tired. It's been a long day, kind of sorting through stuff on this car. Yes, it looks like crap, like there's just shit everywhere, but it'll be clean and ready to go pretty soon. Yeah, but got the fuel pump in. I kind of wish I filmed that because I had to get in the trunk physically and lay in there to put the fuel pump back in, a fuel level sending unit. That was not very fun. You know, I'm not really a small or really big guy, but I had to lay in here. You know, be cool if they're like S14s, they usually have a hole right here, so you can actually just stick, you know, your head in there. But it wasn't that bad. But getting closer. Every time I work on this thing, it's getting closer by the minute. Well, hopefully this is right. This fitting in the block, this oil for the turbo. I decided to plumb it into a water bottle for first start, or at least prime it and see if it has oil pressure. Because if you couldn't remember, this is actually an NA motor. We put a thicker head gasket on it, ARP head studs, and I'm using RB20 exhaust, turbo manifold, and a precision 3582, I think. But should be pretty rowdy. The guys in Australia use this same kind of style setup, and they're I think they said 550, 600's like kind of the limit for these engines in A. I don't really want to test that theory. Hey, 350, close to 400, this thing can be really fun. Especially on these little, I think they're 235s on the back. Yeah, 235s. So it'll be a fun car either way. But let me get some more stuff done. I guess I'll give you more of an update here in a minute. Well, I was on a good roll. Got this coolant lines done, all nice and clean. Figured out where I'm gonna put my sensor, or my map. Yeah, map sensor. And, vacuum source for the fuel pressure regulator, PCV valve, and brake booster. Then I ran into a problem. So the injectors, it's 14 millimeter that goes on the fuel rail side, and then this goes in the intake manifold. That bottom O-ring is too big, so it doesn't fit. So yeah, got to find those O-rings and probably have to order them because I don't have anything that size here. All the O-rings I have here are like a standard, small O-ring. I don't have anything this size here, which sucks and it's annoying. But one more thing to order, but I got everything else ordered. The throttle cable should be here in about a week. If you're doing a forward-facing RB intake manifold on a R33, you need an S14 throttle cable. So that's ordered, and I had to order, what else that? I had to order something else. Okay, I remembered. The CAN signal for, the CAN bus signal wire. I had to order that too. But I guess I'll pick back up on this car when these parts show up so I can start rocking and rolling. Only thing that's left really is I gotta wire up the fuel gauge, which that won't be hard because I've already figured out the wires. Man, my hair's probably all messed up. Alright, it's been about 2 days, or 3 days? Yeah, about 3 days. The right O-ring showed up. At least they look like they are. So let's put this intake manifold back together. And one step closer to finalizing the intake manifold. I got most of it ready. Just have to figure out these lines. Make sure all that's routed okay and safe. Yeah, let's get to work. All right, the injectors are in finally. They look okay. They're a little, well, that was pretty snug. Where's the one that's kind of loose? I guess they got, that was still a little loose. This is my first time in a while to like, actually might be my first time I've ever dealt with top feed. Yeah, I guess it's top feed injectors. So, learning curve. Make sure you get the right O-rings. I don't know if that was a mix-up with where I bought the injectors from or what, but that was never gonna work. Got those as spares now for something else, but now I can set this in, make my fuel lines, make sure all this still fits, and hopefully the throttle cable shows up this week, because then I can actually mount the intake manifold all the way, because I don't know if you know about RVs. With forward facing, your brackets under here, it actually pulls down for your throttle, but that shouldn't be that bad. But so much closer. I love to have this thing running at least first start, either this weekend or next week. Next week is a kind of a busy weekend. I won't be able to work on this thing. I'll be at Polecat, checking out, going there again. I didn't get approved to drive, which sucks, but it's still a good vibe just to go there and witness, like, the elevation change there is just incredible. Like, I don't know if there's any other tracks like that in the US that have that much of a drastic elevation change, except for maybe, scared this is gonna fall. Except for like USA Air, which I don't know, I haven't seen that place in person, but I think it actually has more elevation change than that place does. I'll probably film a little bit from going to Polecat. We'll see. I was really wanting to have this video with the startup. It doesn't look like it. It's already kind of a long video, and it's taking a little bit longer to get a couple other little small parts to finalize it. And I'm still waiting on a startup tune, which should have that soon. But this thing is finally coming along. I know it's been taking a really long time, and I'm sad that it has been, but I've just been busy with stuff, life, waiting on parts for this thing, and probably almost every day I worked on it, there was some sort of weird little issue that was wrong. Part was wrong. Wiring so far, there was like a issue with the wiring harness. But I'm excited to drive this car. It should be a fun car. I hope the customer likes it. I hope whoever gets to ride in this thing likes it. And just one step closer. I'll let you know on the next video. It should be startup. If it's not startup, something happened or something silly is going on with it. But thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later. And don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and comment button. I am curious if y'all like this style video more than like drifting videos. I have some other ideas I want to do, like maybe installs. Like, I've always wanted to do a history. I wouldn't say about myself, but what got me into drifting and stuff like that, and like the cars I've had, and maybe some throwback videos from back in the day. We'll see. But thanks for watching. See y'all later. Peace.